It's World War III. Watch. Let's just face it, it's already started. I'm here with our guest today, Fiorella Isabel, and we are going through an update. Actually, this is in real time. The SignalGate. We're calling it SignalGate. This is about the leaks that Pete Hegseth, about I guess 2 days ago, leaked the plans, the war plans in Yemen. And so the idea is that, okay, let's get mad about this. But the mainstream media decided to tell us how to be mad about this incident. I'm gonna show an example of that. Just to remind people, this is the kind of narrative spin about what to be angry at when the Signal chat telling us about how we're going to go into Yemen, strike Yemen, and kill innocent people. This was the outrage coming from mainstream media.
So much happening every day, and I just have to ask you about the story we've been talking about throughout the show, which is this reporting by Jeffrey Goldberg about him being included on a signal chain with sensitive national security information, including war plans. What was your reaction to that story?
I am outraged by this. This is, of all the things that we've been talking about, Medicaid, Social Security, Medicare, all the cuts that are affecting people's lives. We're talking now about our military. We're talking now about our national security has been compromised because they're using a texting app to share plans about how they're going to attack the Houthis abroad. If someone had been on that chain that hadn't been a patriotic American like Jeffrey Goldberg, if someone who wanted to maybe get something out of it had been on that chain, it would have gone abroad. It would have been broadcast to other people. The Houthis would have known that our soldiers, our pilots were coming, and their lives would have been lost.
Wow. A patriotic American. Really, the Atlantic editor, Jeffrey Goldberg, a total Zionist, this guy who held on to the tweets. Let's be very clear, not the tweets, the Signal chat, held on to it until after the Yemen strike. And he's the American patriot for letting us see this. And the fact that we're supposed to be angry about, did we compromise our secrets and the Houthis found out and they're going to, oh my God, not a mention of what actually happened on the ground that we caused this. So now I'm going to show this new tweet came out, or this new part of the chat came out since we spoke about this. Fee, this is infuriating that this occurred. Okay, this is, yes, Michael Watts was, so there's a lot of people in this chat. At the top, VP, building collapse, had multiple positive ID. Pete Fiorella, the IC, amazing job. JD Vance says, what? Typing too fast. Okay, the first target, their top missile guy. We had positive ID of him walking into his girlfriend's building, and it's now collapsed. And there you go with the excellent and the fist bump, the American flag, and a fire emoji. How insane is this? Here's a response we have. Hold on, let me take this one off and go with that. Okay, Max Blumenthal says, from Trump's admins, bomb Yemen, Signal Group, the Pentagon bombed an entire civilian apartment building in Sana'a because the Houthis' top missile guy was supposedly visiting his girlfriend there, according to Waltz. Dozens of civilians are now dead. Glenn Greenwald follows up. It is valid military protocol. Is it valid military protocol to collapse a residential building with civilians inside because one target visited? If so, can a Yemeni or a Palestinian blow up a 12-story apartment building in D.C. if they know a U.S. military commander entered? Or would we call that terrorism? Fiorella, what? Again, I think we know the answer to this, but the mainstream media is not going to tell us this part of the story and what to actually be mad about.
Well, they're telling us to be mad about the fact that this could have compromised our murder, our lethal targeting, our national security plans, which are basically just more genocide. I mean, again, Israel learned it from the United States. It's actually acceptable U.S. military protocol. We do this all the time. We've done it numerous times. Israel is doing it right now. They're saying Hamas is everywhere. Hamas is under the tunnel, so they've entirely destroyed all of Gaza and are killing Palestinians. They've done it with Hezbollah in Lebanon. They have done it in Syria as well. So it is U.S. military protocol. But it's not everybody's protocol. The rules don't apply to everybody. The rules only apply to us, and then we decide if said entities are allowed to also adhere to these privileges or not. And essentially, if you're Hamas, if you're Hezbollah, if you're a Palestinian, if you're Iran, if you're anybody that's part of that, axis of resistance, or an adversarial country, if Russians did the same thing, or if the Chinese, of course we would call it terrorism or say that they were trying to start a nuclear war, because that's just how we operate. This is the unilateral type of foreign policy we have that, by the way, hasn't changed one bit with Donald Trump. In fact, it's gone on steroids and has targeted the very people we said he would target, which is the global south, the Middle East. And so now you have this scenario where these psychopaths have a chat, and people think this is fake. I personally don't believe this is fake in terms of it being allowed. I think maybe after the fact they allowed the chat to come out. But I think people give too much credit to those in power, especially this administration. They're very much like, they're more laid back and they're more casual about their politics. They're more upfront than the liberals, who this really wouldn't happen in this way with the liberals. It'd have a different tone. So I think people want to believe that they wanted people to see this and get mad, but it really doesn't benefit them. It actually makes them look like idiots. So I don't think this is actually, I stand by what I said earlier when we discussed this. I don't think this is done on purpose. I think this was actually a mistake that shows just how many idiots we have in government and how easily infiltratable they are. And that goes for any government. As somebody that's visited several countries and has lived in other countries and has seen like the inner workings, guys, like, you think these governments, however you feel about them, are infallible. It's just not real. People make mistakes all the time. There's human error. There is a lot of things that get lost in the chaos of everything. And these things happen. And what it says about the US is that, we really are ruled by dumb psychopaths. and it just makes me so angry that in our society, we're not allowed to feel bad or question what happened after the fact that civilians were killed, people with families, with lives, with dreams. But we just make a joke out of it and focus on the Signal chat and if it's conspiracy or not. There's no humanity left, it feels like, in the US. These people were murdered. This is our foreign policy, murdering civilians, using them as collateral damage in our pursuit of protecting our national security interests, which is just bullshit jargon for really a death cult type of foreign policy.
I want people to imagine, like, you're talking about the human part of this, Fee, and we tend to lose that sometimes in our discussions. The mainstream media purposely loses that discussion. They only care about pretending that they're protecting us. They don't give a crap about a rat's ass about anybody else. They're never going to show you footage like this. I'm going to show you guys. Just imagine for a second that this is here. Like Glenn Greenwald pointed out the analogy of the hypothetical that this was something happening in DC, that an apartment building was bombed, or you're just in the neighborhood. You're a father and son in the neighborhood in DC, and imagine that this type of strike occurs right in your neighborhood, right on your street. Watch how this father and son responds. This happened. This was the strike that was actually carried out in Yemen, that we had information about, that the Atlantic did not put out until after the fact. And now the Atlantic editor is a hero for getting this out after this happened. But watch the poise of the father as he's going about his business. And imagine this is you and your son or your father or your family member. And let's just take it in for a second as human beings. This is what we are funding. This is what we are doing.
Insane. I know. I can't.
The,
So
the
hard to watch.
Wow, the composure of that father and how he holds his son. I
Yeah.
wonder if we could have that same
We
response. I wonder
couldn't.
if we could.
I'm sorry. We really couldn't.
Yeah.
In sorry.
No, it's okay. Take your time.
When I was in Lebanon, when people saw the planes, the Israeli warplanes, for them, their normal reaction wasn't fear. It was like, fuck you. Like, we're here. We're gonna celebrate the life of Hassan Nasrallah. They don't have that. I mean, you take any of the people that are sitting there in this group chat, or any of the pundits, or any of these people, they don't have the capacity. They would have literally shit their pants. I mean, this is what these people experience every day, so it's become normal. Yeah. Even something as like the lights going out, or even something as simple as just hearing a bomb somewhere, or saying, oh, they just bombed, South Lebanon, or the Syrians saying, oh, they just bombed Damascus, or it doesn't matter. We're talking about this daily life, and this isn't just in the Middle East. I mean, I the same thing in Ukraine, or in Russia, right? As a result of U.S. foreign policy, this became the norm for these people living in their basements as a result of our foreign policy. So for me, it's like, when you see these humans, just human beings, in this child who has probably grown up from birth to now with this just constant being his life, I think, how do we go back and just try to imagine? I think we wouldn't be able to survive. And I think that's what people mean when they say, it's hard to put yourself in people's shoes, but in a way, we like the United States, we haven't experienced an ounce of that, so we can't even imagine what that would look like. And the day, and I'm not saying I wish this happens, but the day anything remotely close to that happens on U.S. soil, since we saw what happened with 9/11 and how that was also brought about, right? Yeah. If that were to happen to us, we just would blow the entire world up. But yet we expect these people to accept it and not defend themselves, not become militant. What else would you do if that is your life? I mean, I would have, and I've said this before, I would have done much worse than what Hamas did on October 7th. If that had been my life, if my entire family had been killed by Israel, and everything I knew and loved was completely annihilated, and I had no semblance of freedom or liberty, I would probably be much worse. And the resilience from the people in these regions, the way they are, in spite of the loss, in spite of everything, they continue. And I just haven't seen that type of strength. I would say they are among the strongest people I have met, and I'm in awe every single day of this desire to continue going, because I think a lot of us just would give up, I think, at that
No,
point.
no,
Yeah.
it's incredible, and thanks for sharing that experience with us, Fee, and just you've been out there and you've seen it for yourself, and just yeah, so many people here don't know what life is beyond their TV screens and their cell phone screens and the
Yeah.
things they're scrolling by. They scroll by. A lot of people scroll by this stuff. There are people that stick on it and they go, "Oh my God, look what's happening around the world. Look what we're doing," and that's great. But even still, we're still kind of safe here. And so when
Yeah.
something like this, when this chat gets released, and we can debate about accident or not accident, you had me on your side about that, but and then I got on the fence, and then I went back to your side. After this very human moment we just experienced and watching this video, I'm going to lean towards it. It was, it was, I guess here's where I'm at. I'm concluding it wasn't necessarily one or the other, and it doesn't matter. The point is when you see those fist bumps and you see those American flags and fire emojis, I don't care if you accidentally showed that or you purposely showed that. These are psychopaths.
Yeah.
These are sociopaths. They are bragging and gloating, whether they wanted us to see it or not. That's who they are.
Yeah.
And that's who's on the other end of this. When we talk about finger on the button, these are the people with the finger on the button. We talk about who's going to have who are we voting for? Who's going to have this is it right here. This is the group of psychopaths that you don't want
Yeah.
to have their finger on the button doing this damage, which we're doing, and we do it over and over and over. It's absolutely
All the
insane.
time.
Yeah. I don't know how we
And
can.
it's not just one of them. It's the whole lot of them. This
Yeah.
is you. How do you? It's the same thing with Israel. You can't just say, okay, well, we're gonna elect somebody else. It's not Netanyahu. So apart from Netanyahu, you have like 20 other Netanyahus, and apart from Trump, you have 20 other Trumps. I mean, this is not going to go away in this way. The way that the Nazis at least were momentarily defeated.
Yeah.
They were confronted. And that entire movement as a whole was confronted. And what we're facing now, and this is something Fidel Castro actually said a long time ago, that fascism would return in the form of democracy, of this liberal ideology of spreading democracy. And he said this in an interview. And the thing is, that's what we're experiencing now. These people, whether they're Republicans or Democrats, think that this is justified because they're spreading some sort of belief of superiority in freedom and liberty and all of these ideals that we say we stand by. From the right, and from the left it's democracy or some sort of humanitarian type of, we know better than you, so what you're doing is wrong, and you're all your Islamic beliefs are not good, we don't like them, so we're going to tell you how to live your life, and if you don't like it, then we're going to go after you. Or we are entitled to your natural resources, and if you don't like it, well, then we're also going to go after you. So either way, this idea that we're giving them something by taking something away is a very fascistic thing, because the only ones who desire to be in control are one party. And we're still battling this. It didn't 100% go away. It has, in fact, just warped into new players and new slogans and new symbols. But it is essentially, at its core, it's the same type of mentality that we're better, we're superior, and these people just cease to be human beings whatsoever. And it's truly disgusting, and that is something that needs to be confronted, I think, by a lot of people. It's not just about war. It's not about religion. It's not even just about natural resources, even though that is mostly what drives us, the natural resource aspect. I think it's also something bigger than that, this general sense of superiority and desire to control all things, and that has to be confronted directly, I think.
Fiorella, Isabel, very great, thoughtful conversation today. Appreciated having you on. Yeah, thanks again. Thanks for sharing and having. It's hard. Sometimes we skip over the stuff, the humanitarian part of it. I mean, we're doing humanitarian work, but the human part sometimes we skip over in our reporting, and it's important that we do this when we can and remind people
Yep.
What's happening, it's real people. Real people's lives are affected by what we do. So let's make it more important for us. Make this a priority to fight back however we can. Whatever you guys out there, whatever your way to do it, your method to do it, let's fight back however we can.